Hello everybody, hope everybody's well. So this is lesson 1. Just follow the instructions on the video. When it says pause, either stop the video or pause the video and just work your way through that section of the lesson. Hopefully everybody can follow this, and I'll see you all soon. Hello everybody, we're going to make a wee start on our first lesson. So this lesson is for P67 lesson 1. Now you don't necessarily need to have the lesson printed out. You could be looking at it on the likes of a phone or a tablet or a laptop, and if you have just some lined paper, maybe a book, just something to write in, that's fine. If you want to print it off, that's perfectly fine as well. Okay, so the first questions on paper 1 or lesson 1 are to do with patterns, and patterns are a very important part of the transfer test. So if I just give you a wee bit of help even with one of these questions, and then you can go on ahead and do the rest yourself. So I'm actually going to give you some help with this one here. So we're looking at the circles. So pattern 1, pattern 2, pattern 3 and pattern 4. And it's very common in the transfer test for the patterns to be unshaded and sometimes shaded. Okay, now if you look at this pattern, you have 1 circle, 5 circles, 9 circles and 13 circles. If you look at the shaded, you've got 2, 4, 6 and 0, obviously at the start. So let me just position that like so. Look at the questions. Okay. So using the patterns, we want to answer these questions. How many circles will be in pattern 6? Okay. So let me just show you in my book how you want to set this out. Lesson 1, and we're looking at patterns. Now whenever I have patterns, I don't really concern myself with being able to draw the pattern. Some people will try and draw the pattern, but I don't think that's necessarily very important. So the first question, let's remind ourselves, how many circles will be in pattern 6? So I think drawing out a very quick table. You notice I'm not using a ruler. In the transfer test, you don't want to be wasting time. It might be as you get faster at this, you don't need to draw out a table. So I've given myself enough space. Draw out 7 patterns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so the question said how many circles will be in pattern 6? Yeah, pattern 6. So let's write down the number of circles in each pattern. So pattern 1 has 1. Pattern 2 has 5. Pattern 3 has 9. Pattern 4 has 13. So there's no drawing of the circles. Don't waste your time doing that. What you've got to try and work out between these numbers, what's the pattern? Is it being multiplied by something? Is it being divided? Are you adding or are you taking away? Now to go from a 1 to a 5, we could multiply by 5 or we could add 4. I think adding 4 in this particular pattern is what we want to do. To go from 5 to 9, well, that's add 4 as well. So I think we've already seen the pattern. 9 to 13, add 4. So it looks as though the pattern is adding 4 each time. 1, 5, 9, 13. Let's add 4. 17. And add another 4. 21. Okay. So the answer for how many circles will be in pattern 6, the answer is 21. The question, or the second question says, how many circles will be in pattern 8? So we can just continue on with our table. Okay. So let's add 4 to 21 and you get 25. Pattern 8, add 4, 29. So the answer for how many circles are in pattern 8 is 29. And we just used the same table as we drew out for the first question. Now, how many circles will be in pattern 9? Again, add on another box to your table. And the answer is 33. Okay, so the first 3 questions are simply how many circles are in the pattern. But usually it's not quite so simple as that. The question 4 says how many shaded circles will be in pattern 10. So we're going to be going to pattern 10 here. Now I'll just have enough space and no more. So the first row of this table I was using for just the circles. The second row I'm going to use for just the shaded circles. If you look at your pattern, pattern 1 is 0. Pattern 2 is 2. 4. 6. Now, hopefully that pattern is really straightforward for you. You're going in multiples of 2. You're adding on 2 each time. 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. Okay. So the answer to question 4 is 18. How many shaded circles will be in pattern 15? Okay. So that's pattern 10. So pattern 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So you can just keep going. So 18, pattern 11, be 20, 22, 24, 26, 28. So the answer for that one is 28. Now hopefully you're seeing that it just would be impossible to keep drawing out the pattern and drawing the circles. You'd be there all day. So for this type of question, you very, very seldom need to be drawing anything. You just need to work it with the numbers. The question at the end here, what's the difference? So you can't see that. Let me just push this up. So it says, what's the difference between shaded and unshaded circles in pattern 7? Okay, so what's the difference between the shaded and unshaded circles in pattern 7? Well, here's pattern 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now we've got the shaded, that's the shaded number there. We have 12. Now if 12 are shaded and we have 25 altogether, how many are unshaded? 13. So the answer is 13 take away 12 is 1. Okay? And you can kind of see that even just in the circles themselves. There's 2 and there's 3. 3 take away 2 is 1. There's 5 and there's 4. 5 take away 4. Oh, we're going all blurry. Let's see. There we go. Oh, I don't mean to do that. Turn that off. Yep. So 5 take away 4, 1. And here, 7 take away 6 is 1. So the difference between the shaded and unshaded for pattern 7 is 1. Okay. So we're going to pause the video there. And what I'd like you to do is spend a wee bit of time doing the questions with this pattern and the questions with this pattern here. Okay. So I hope you get on well with those patterns, and don't forget to mark your work using the answers. Now we're going to move on to a wee bit of time then. Now in the test you need to be able to use 12-hour time, 24-hour time, and you need to be able to do all sorts of time calculations. So we're going to do a few time calculations today. So when you look at this first question, 4 hours and 10 minutes after 2 AM in 24-hour clock. So here I've got our book. So 4 hours and 10 minutes after 2 AM. So that means we want to add the 4 hours and 10 minutes onto the time. Whenever you're doing addition and subtraction with time, you can't really use it like a normal sum like you would if you were adding just two numbers or taking away a number from another number. Now this one's quite easy because 2 AM is the second hour, so you add the 4 onto the 2, so that gives us 6. That'll be 6 AM and 10 minutes. So 6:10 AM. Now we're not quite finished because the question says in 24-hour clock. Now at the minute we have our answer in 12-hour clock. I know that because there's an AM after the time. So you remember that your day is divided up into two parts. You've got the first 12 hours, that's AM, and you've got the second 12 hours, that's PM. And the day actually starts at midnight when most of the time we'll be in our bed sleeping, and that's 12 AM. And then the middle of the day when we're getting ready maybe for lunch is 12 PM. And so the day is divided up into two parts. Well, this is in the first part. 6:10 a.m. in 24-hour time, 06:10. And that's now a 24-hour time. I know because it has 4 numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it has no AM or PM. You can't put an AM or PM after a 24-hour clock. Let's try one more. Let's try a more difficult one this time. So what about this question here? A television program begins at 23:18 and lasts 45 minutes. What time does it finish in 24-hour clock? 23:18 and it lasts for 45 minutes. So again, the program lasts for 45 minutes, so we're going to be adding that on. Just check I've got the time right. 23:18 and we're going to add 45 minutes. Now the problem I have with this is if I add 45 onto 18, I get 63. And I'm not allowed 63 there because there's only 60 minutes in an hour. So the biggest number I'm going to have there will be 59. And then once we get to 60, if you like, it goes to the next hour. So 45 add 18 would be 23:63. So we're going to have to go to the next hour. So if you think of this in terms of 12-hour clock, just to help us, 11:18, add the 45, and that gives you 11:63. Remember, you're not allowed 63, so this 60 minutes is going to go to the next hour, which will be 12. So it's 12:03, and it's actually 12:03 a.m. because this is late at night. This is 11:18 p.m. So put p.m. in there. And then once it gets to 12, it goes back to a.m. Now we want to write this in 24-hour clock. So there it says at the end, in 24-hour clock. Well, 23:03 a.m. in 24-hour clock is 00:03. When you start the day in 24-hour clock, it starts with 00:00. Okay? And what I'd like you to try and do is to finish the time questions in our lesson. So we've done this one here and we've done this one here. Okay, so if you try to do the rest of those time questions, and I'll pause the video there. Now the next part of our lesson is looking at the calendar. We're going to spend a wee bit of time before we look at our questions, just looking at the calendar itself. Okay? So the calendar, just move that out of the way. The calendar, as you know, is made up of 12 months. Okay. So January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and December. And you need to know how many days is in each of those months. And you just have to remember the first line of the little rhyme. 30 days has September, April, June, and November. So 4 months have 30 days. 30 days has September, April, 30 days has September, April, June, and November. So 30 days has September, April, June, and November. So I'm going to put a 30 here. All the rest, 31, except for February. So all the rest. So January, except February, so don't put it in. March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Okay, so 30 days have September, April, June, and November. All the rest have 31, except for February. Now, February is different because it has 28 days, usually, and every 4 years it has 29 days. Now, the easy way to work out if a year is a leap year, so 29 days in a leap year. So let's say we had the year 2009. Well, how do we work out if 2009 is a leap year? 2009. Well, it's every 4 years, so we divide 2009 by 4. So 4 into 2, 0, remainder 2. 4 into 20, 5. 4 into 0, 0. 4 into 9, 2. Remainder 1. Now, if it was a leap year, we would have no remainder. So 2009 is not a leap year. 2020, no remainder. 2020 had 29 days in February. 2009 only had 28. Okay. Now, whenever we're doing calendar calculations, let's check that's not. Yeah, that's working okay. So there's a few different ways over the years that I've taught how to do calendar calculations, and the way I'm going to teach you now, I find actually to be the one where pupils make the least mistakes, or the fewest mistakes. Although once you see it for the first time, if you've never done it this way before, it will be a little bit confusing. So we're going to think about it for a few minutes together. So if you're asked, say the question was, today is Tuesday, the 9th of March. What day is the 3rd of May. So today is Tuesday the 9th of March. What day is the 3rd of May? That's a pretty difficult question. So the way I start this, I draw 7 columns really quickly. Remember, in the test, you don't want to waste too much time. Okay? And at the top of each column, I write Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Okay, if you want to, you can put in a column there. Now, the reason I draw the columns in, it's very hard to keep things in line, especially if maybe you've only got blank paper or line paper like I have. So we start off with Tuesday the 9th of March. So there's Tuesday, and we put in the 9th of March. Now in the calendar, days run this way. So this would be the 10th, the 11th, the 12th, the 13th. And you jump 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Now we don't want to have to do all of that. But what you can do is go down the way, which is a week. And a week is 7 days. So if you add 7 onto the 9, you get 16. And if you add 7 onto the 16, you get 23. Now remember, the month is March. It's March. So 31 days. So add another 7 and you get 30. Now obviously we can't add another 7 because that would give us 37. So we start adding days. So it's March. So there's 31 days. Now what would that be? Well, that's the 1st of April. Now remember, April has only 30 days. That's going to be important. So now that we've got April, we can start adding on the weeks again. 8, 15, 22, 20, oh, my brain has stopped working, 29. Okay, let's make these a bit longer. Now, can't add 7 on again because that takes us to 36. So we want to add days on, 30. Now it's April. This month here is April, so it's 1. So that's the 1st of May. Now we want to go to the 3rd of May. So we go 1, 2, 3. So the answer for this question is, what day is the 3rd of May? Well, the 3rd of May is a Monday. Okay? And I like that way of working it out. And I have found over the years, I say there are other ways of doing it, but I found over the years that if you can really get your head around that, it's very unlikely that you'll get a calendar question wrong. Let's try one more. So imagine this time we have John. John's birthday is the 16th of July. Sarah's birthday is 44 days later. What date is her birthday? Okay, so it's a calendar question. So 7 columns. Okay. And we're told that her birthday's on the 16th, but we're not told that her birthday is on a Monday or a Friday or a Saturday, or so we can just pick any day. That's not going to affect our answer. So I'm going to put it in over here on the Sunday. So 16th of July. So over at the left hand side, we're going to keep a record of how many days we add, because we only want to add on 44 days. So I'm going to add on 7 days. That takes me to 23. So that's 7. And then I add on another week. So that's 14. Now we get to the 30th. We can't add on any more. And it's July. So it's now days we're adding on. 31 and 1. Now notice what I've added on there. I added on 1 day and another day. So I'm going to add 2 to that. So that gives me 16 days so far. Right, let's start adding on weeks again. So we're now into August. So let's add 1 week. 7 on to 16 is 23. 30 days. And 22. 37 days. Now we want to add on 44 days. So if I add on another week, another 7 onto that, that's going to bring me to 44. So let's add on another week, that's 29. So the answer is, what date is her birthday? Her birthday is the 29th of August. Now we don't know the day because we weren't told the day of John's birthday. Okay. And we'll do just one more before you go to your questions. Now, one of the hardest things with this method is actually going backwards. So imagine if so imagine this was your question here. Adam's birthday is the 10th of February. Sam's is 33 days before. And you have to work out when Sam's birthday was. So you do this again, just as we have done before. 5, 6, 7. But we're going to be going backwards. So I then put the days along the bottom. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So Adam's birthday is on the 10th. Again, we're not told the day, so I'm just going to choose Thursday, the 10th of February. And we need to take away this time 33 days. So let's take away a week. That takes us to the 3rd of February. And just over at the side, so we've taken away 7. Now I can take away another 7. So let's take away a day, another day, and then this day is the 31st of January. You see that? I'll take away a week and then take away days. How many days did I take away? 1, 2, 3. So I'm now up to 10. I don't want to take away any more than 33 days. So let's take away another 7. 31 take away 7 is 24. So that's 17. Take away another 7. That's 17. So that's 24 days. We're going to take away 33. So if I take away another 7, that's going to take me up to 31. And then all I want to do is take away 2 more days. So Sunday the 9th and Saturday the 8th. So Sam's birthday is the 8th of January. Okay. So we're going to pause the video there. So what I want you to do is just use what I've been teaching you to try and do these questions on the calendar. So the next part of our lesson is again looking at time, but this time it's going to be conversions from 24 hour to 12 hour and 12 hour to 24 hour. And if we look at the explanation here in the blue box, 12 hour must always have AM or PM. 24 hour must always have 4 numbers and never AM or PM. So if we look at some of the examples, 4 AM. So 4, if we go here to the clock, 4 AM, that's very, very early in the morning, most likely all sleeping, is 0400. Whereas 4 PM, well, that's an hour after school, and that's 1600. Pardon me. This is the one here that lots of people will get wrong. 12 AM, so up here 12 AM is 00. Okay, so 0000. Whereas 12 PM is 1200. So down here we have 2:15 PM. So if we look up at the clock, it's PM, so we're going to be using this 14 here. So the answer is going to be 14:15. 6:10 AM. So 6, it's going to stay as a 6, but we need 4 digits. 0610. And there's no AM or PM with 24-hour clock. If we go down to this one here, 0055. So 00, well that's 12. So that's going to be 12:55. And because it's at the very start of the new day, it's 12:55 AM. Whereas if we look at this one here, 1920. So 19 is 7. 7:20 PM. And then we have just a few more time calculations. and then another few time calculations which are a wee bit more difficult, because the question says convert your answer to either 12 or 24-hour time. So if I show you a few of these on my book. Okay. So let's jump into some of the more difficult ones. So let's go for this one here. 4:20 a.m. add 5 hours. 4:20 a.m. add 5 hours. Well, the 5 adds on to the 4, so that's 9:20 a.m. But we want to change that then. The question says convert your answer. So we want to convert the answer from 12-hour to 24-hour. So 9:20 a.m., well, that's in the morning. So 24-hour will be 09:20. Let's try one more together. So let's try 12:30, add 45 minutes. 12:30, add 45 minutes. Now 12:30 is a 24-hour time. I know that because there's no AM or PM. So 12:30 is in the middle of the day. So that's 12:30 PM if we were writing it in 12-hour. Now I can't just add the 45 onto the 30 because that gives me 75. So the 60, once we get 60 minutes, that goes to the next hour. So the answer is 1:15. And it's PM. Okay, if we were to write it in 24-hour time, it would be 13:15. But it's this time we're looking for here because the question's in 24-hour time and we have to write the answer in the opposite, so we're using 12-hour time. So try and work your way through all of those time calculations. Okay? So the next lesson, or next part of the lesson, is going to be looking at function machines. So if I just push this up and we can read the information in the blue box. The calculator is a type of function machine. Follow the calculations in the direction of the arrows. Complete the calculation as it is written. Go backwards and complete the calculation doing the exact opposite. Now, one of the things I like to do whenever I am working with function machines, immediately at the top here of the function machine, I always write the opposite of what we have in the box. So this plus 10, I would write minus 10, divide by 2, multiplied by 2. And that just helps me if I'm working my way back. So let's just do a few like that. Okay, so let's have a function. And this function machine divides by 5, adds 9. That's quite a difficult function. before I do any of my calculations, I always write the opposite at the top. Times 5, take away 9. That's just going to help me whenever I'm going backwards. So imagine we have a number going in here. So let's have a number going in. Let's have the number 15. Okay. So what is 15 divided by 5? Yep, it's 3. Add 9 is 12. And if you want to, you can try going backwards just to check it. 12. Take away 9 is 3. Multiplied by 5 is 15. Now let's try one where you know the number coming out, but you don't know the number going in. So let's say the number coming out is 7. So we're going to use this part of the function here. That's why I write it in. It just makes it easier. 7. Take away 9. Well, I'm going to change that because I don't want to make it too complicated. Let's change it to 17. So 7 was actually a bad choice. 17. Take away 9. Well, that's 8. 8 multiplied by 5 is 40. Now we can do it a wee bit more complicated. So we can start putting in decimals. So if we have 23. Now you might know 23 divided by 5. Probably know that it is 4 remainder 3. Now 4 remainder 3, we're dividing by 5, so that remainder is 3/5. And 3/5 is 0.6, 4.6. So 23 divided by 5 is 4.6. Add 9 is 13.6. Let's do one more. And let's have another decimal. Pardon me. So let's have 23.2. And let's go back. 23.2, take away 9. So 23.2, take away 9 is 14.2. Now 14.2 times 5. So find a wee space. 14.2 times 5. 5 nines, 45. 5 fours, 20. Add the 4, 24. 5 ones are 5. Add 2, 7. And don't forget to put your decimal point in. 74.5. So I want you to try and work your way through some of these function machines. Now, they're not too bad. Probably the hardest one I can see here is this one here. Times by 5, add a half. So you'll want to write up here, divide by 5, take away a half. So if I go to the first one, 4 times by 5 is 20. Add a half is 20 and a half. If I do this one here, 35 and a half take away a half is 35. Divide by 5 is 7. So work your way through those function machines. One of the important things in the test will be working with decimals. And you'll be expected to add and multiply, divide and take away working with decimals. So we're going to do a few together in the book. Now whenever I am working with any kind of addition or subtraction, even multiplication and division, well not so much division but certainly multiplication, I like to draw out the columns. So let's say we had the sum 209.7 add 28.09. Okay? Now, let's do outer columns. And we'll have the decimal point here. So the decimal point needs to go in. 209.7 28.09. Now notice that the decimal point is on the straight line. And we have two spaces which we can just fill up with zeros and add. 9 and 0 is 9, 7 and 0 is 7. Don't forget your decimal point. 9 and 8, 17. 0, 1 and 2, 3, 2 and 0, 2. 237.79. Now what if it's a takeaway? So let's have 400.73. Take away 1.9. We'll just have it as 1.9. Okay, so draw out your columns. The reason we do this is because in the test you not have squared paper. So that takes about 10 seconds and usually that just leads to you getting the right answer. Let's put in our decimal point on the line. So the big number always goes to the top in a takeaway, 400.73. Take away 1.9. Okay. 3 take away 0 is 3. 7 take away 9 can't do. So we have to go into the next column that has a number. That becomes a 3. That becomes a 10. That becomes a 9. That becomes a 10. That becomes a 9. That becomes a 17. 17 take away 9 is 8. 9 take away 1, 8. 9 take away 0, 9. 3 take away 0 is 3. So I want you to draw your columns out like that. It really doesn't take too much time, but it does lead to you mostly, certainly in my experience, getting the correct answer. Now the next part of our lesson is fractions, decimals and percentages. And hopefully you'll remember that a fraction can be written as a decimal. So they both mean exactly the same thing, which can be written as a percentage. Now probably the easiest one to look at is the half. Okay, so you'll remember you've got the half. Now, if you can't remember the decimal, you can very easily work it out. 1 divide by 2. So a fraction is always a division sum. 1 divide by 2. And you're always going to need additional numbers in here. I always put 2 zeros there just to get started, so that's your tenths and your hundredths column. 2 into 1, well, that's 0. Remainder 1. 2 into 10 is 5. So we actually don't have to go any further than the 0.5. Now percentages, a percentage is always the two numbers after the decimal point. So actually the 0 helps us there. 2 into 0 is 0. So a half is 50%. Now a decimal like say 1/20th is much more tricky. So 1 divide by 20 and put in your 2 zeros just to get you started. 20 into 1 is 0, remainder 1. 20 into 10 is 0, remainder 10. 20 into 100 is 5. So the decimal for 1/20th is 0.05. Remember, the percentage is the two numbers after the decimal point. So it's 0.5% or just 5%. You don't need the 0. Now if we do one like 2/3, so 2 divide by 3. 3 into 2 is 0. Remainder 2. 2 into 20 is 6. Remainder 2. 3 into 20 is 6. Remainder 2. 3 into 20 is 6. And we could just keep going. Remainder 2, 6, remainder 2. Now the percentage is 66.6. 6, 6, 6, and we keep writing the 6's. So instead of doing that, we just write 66. And because it's a remainder 2 and we're dividing by 3, there's your remainder, and we're dividing by 3. 66 and 2/3. So I'd like you to use that to help you fill out the table. Now, some of these you'll know off by heart. You'll not need to do the division sum. But if you have to do the division sum, that will help you. So we're on to some English then. And we're looking at some verb tenses. So in the test, you need to be able to identify 3 different tenses. You need to be able to identify the present tense, the past tense, and the participle tense, which we will do in a different lesson. So remember, verbs are doing words. We're going to look up the word accept in the dictionary. A-C-C-E-P-T. Okay, accept. We're going to try and bring this closer to the screen. So there you can see accept is a verb, and it means to agree to receive or do something. Okay? Now that's the present tense of the verb, accept. We want to put it into the past tense. Sometimes I think it's good to put the word into a little phrase or sentence. So if it's the present tense, it happened today. Today, I accept. And then for the past tense, yesterday, I accepted. So let me just show you that. Now, I don't think you would have had to have done this with accept. I think you probably would have known that accept was accepted. But there's your present tense, today, I. Now today I accept. Yesterday I accepted. Now that one was what we call a regular verb, because you just had to add ed. You do have to be careful when you're adding ed, because sometimes you have to double the letter at the end. And I want you to work your way through this on your own. Get yourself your dictionary, and if you need to help yourself with the spelling, do. It is very important that you are learning these spellings as you're going along. But there's also irregular verbs. Now, those are verbs that don't necessarily end on ed for the past tense. So look at break. So if I get break in the dictionary, so LMNOPQR, okay. BR, there's breakage, so break will be here. So let me just bring it closer to the dictionary or to the camera. So break is a verb, and you can see there that it has given you different spellings. Today I break. Yesterday I broke. You can also see this one here, which is the participle tense. You will need to know that. It's also a past tense. Yesterday I have broken. But we're just looking for the past tense. Yesterday I broke. Okay? Let's look at another one. Let's look at the word begin. So BE. J, K, L, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Begin, there we go. So begin is a verb. So there you see begins, beginning, began, and begun. So begin is the present tense. Today I begin. Yesterday I began. Now the participle tense is important. Yesterday I have begun, or I had begun. But we're just thinking of the past tense. Began, begin, and began. I'd like you to work through those those verbs, regular and irregular. And then when you've got that finished, I'd like you just to take a wee bit of time to learn this first set of spellings. And sometimes just writing the spellings out helps you with learning them. Okay, so look means look at the word and write it out by looking at it. Cover means look at the word, cover it, and write it out. Spell the word means hopefully you can just spell it. Look, cover, and spell. Might be an idea to do the look and the cover and leave the spell till the very end and get someone to call the spellings out for you, and you can test yourself. So that's the end of lesson 1. That was very much concentrating on our maths. So just make sure that you mark everything. The only thing you can't mark is your spellings. And hopefully then I'll be able to ask you some spellings the next time we see one another.